My heart cannot take this show anymore. Last week, I thought would be not impossible, but next to it, in order to top in terms of emotional impact. Ikuto, his family, mother crying, how do you at the very least match that? Kokoro and Chiyuki in this week's episode did so with grace. Not only did they match the wonders that we saw with Ikuto's clothing line, the whole idea of transforming Chiyuki midway through the stage without showing anything is such a magical and creative way to bring out excitement, your entire theme for this, while also having a specific dress that would bring out the concept of wind to show that aura. But the fact that their drive and the backstory that, the backstory was literally just a couple of days ago, but still seeing what led them to create it, how they butted heads, but how they competed against each other so that even if they don't win this competition, they've already won the approval of people saying, that short model, I could use her. The manager, who was so bound and bent to say you couldn't be a designer, literally acknowledges that she can be one. 100%, even if she doesn't succeed here. We get great understanding of why she doesn't simply abandon her, why she doesn't say, oh, she's holding me down, when she actually has respect for her, even if she has her own desires to be a designer rather than a model. It just felt like everything that we had last week, and that is a testament to how good this episode was, because last week is one of the most memorable moments of this anime season. With episode 11, it's equally as memorable, so we have 2 for 2 episodes that are sticking out like a sore thumb, but you're glad you have that sore thumb, because it is a moment you're not going to be forgetting anytime soon. One more big line to go down. It will be interesting to see, can he match that wonder, or is he going to crash and burn, and who's going to take home that trophy? I don't know, but I am excited to see. Literally, this episode, it was watching a girl be able to pull off heels, a different walk for every single piece of clothing, and watching her get exhausted as people were critiquing what she was doing, how she was walking specifically as if it was an acting in a play. You have a specific walk for a specific type of clothing. How do you remember it? How do you keep your posture? How do you keep your cool? How do you not pass out? Because honestly, just wearing heels alone, I still question why heels are a thing just because they are such an uncomfortable thing. I guess people think they look beautiful. I personally don't think so, but hey, if people want to wear them, people are going to wear them at the cost of their own well-being and foot and back and things like that. But still, you gotta respect what she was able to pull off with those heels, because that's not easy for a simple walk without messing up, falling over, but having to do it non-stop. And the build up to that moment where they pass each other and they realize that this was a short girl her entire time, that they were kind of blindsided by not only how great she was, but the fact that they lowered the racks. They kept the people changing her mostly on the ground so they would be oblivious and just focus on her talents rather than saying she's too short to be a model. And by the time they realized she was too short to be a model, they were already taken back by her gaze, and the tall person, the person who fit every criteria, wasn't the one they would focus on. It ended up being Chiyuki. That is such a beautiful moment building up to it. You just felt so many things in that moment where you realize that Chiyuki is basically saying, you suck as a model, you're not as good as me, I'm better than you, and you can be a designer. It's such a great feeling, because similar to last week where Ikuto pulled off the impossible, it felt like, and he made his mother cry. It just felt like even if he didn't win this competition, it didn't matter because he won in his family's heart and proved that he is a good designer and better than just a pattern maker. This week's episode, how do you make it so a short girl can prove that she's good to be a model and a tall model is good to be a designer if they can't win? Well, it doesn't matter if they win, because the manager has now finally recognized that she can be a designer. She's probably still going to push for being a model, at least part-time, but it definitely proves that her designing creativity is something to be acknowledged, and Chiyuki was more impressive than the person who met the technical criteria on this stage. It really does go to show that they're all winners at this point in time. Even if they don't get the grand victory, they still can progress towards their dreams, and that's something that's an incredibly relieving feeling. I thought the kind of build up to see how they designed their clothes, how they reworked everything, it was quite interesting, because I love how Chiyuki, she was never trying to play friends here. Her and Kokoro have a lot that's maybe in common, but at the same time, they got a lot of personal things that are going to cause them to kind of be pushed back against. And I love how when she snaps and says, I hate you, she's like, yeah, I don't particularly like you either, but, that's fine as long as we get this W. It's like, oh my god, I love you, Chiyuki. You are such a great character. It was nice how she didn't just play nice thing, oh, you reworked all this in a night for me, but that's not good enough. We need to redesign everything. And there was a constant back and forth, and there was some hostility thrown each other's way where watching the walks, it was just a repeat. You're not doing this right. Oh, that's kind of fine, but that's not right. They were getting mad at each other because the clothing was never fitting right, the clothing was never perfect, the walk was never perfect, or just this and that. But the fact that they didn't hold each other's hand and they treated each other as allies at this moment, not friends, not family, not loved ones, just we both have a vision and we're going to prove to each other that our true dreams are worth it and we're not going to settle. That the short girl isn't going to be the designer just because she lacks one thing, that despite having everything else that makes a model great, she just gets ignored. The tall girl can't be a designer because she has natural talents for basically being a model, right? They really were building up to prove why that was going to happen, why they were going to show everyone who's boss. When you saw that designing line, I thought it was incredible. As someone who has no love for fashion, literally watching just them switch to different clothes midway, honestly, that's exciting. It honestly felt as exhilarating as any battle scene that I've watched this season, because it felt like something that you just couldn't predict. And the characters' reactions watching, who clearly know a lot more about this industry than most viewers watching, are going to just immediately look to their eyes, say, okay, I'm not crazy, right? That's impressive. And they're like, holy shit, that's impressive. This anime did a great job at directing it to feel not only visually distinct from the previous one that took our breath away, but also show us things that we haven't seen in such a way, even though we've seen how many times the models walk down a runway or see just different unique looking clothing. I like how they went with a more simplistic look rather than something that was just visually striking and you couldn't keep your eyes away from it, and focus more on the walk and how it was just fun. It was literally designed to be fun. In simplicity, it may not stun you at the start, but the longer you watch and the longer you see just the eccentric style, it really does take your breath away. And I love how, once again, we leave an episode feeling like they won, despite the competition not even being over. This definitely is the best way to wrap up the first season. In fact, for whatever reason, I was thinking this was the last episode. I thought it was just going to be 11 episode anime season or something. For whatever reason, I was just coming into this episode thinking it was all going to be over, and I was like, oh man, are they going to rush it? I'm like, oh thank god, it's actually 12 episodes. This show is just so good. The music when they're walking, it just gets you bouncy and just feel full of energy, or feeling exhausted, or just the way they use careful animation techniques, like when Chiyuki was about to pass out and then she looks towards Ikuto and that gives her her energy and kind of composure again. It's so great to see how they do such dramatic ways of directing to really make it feel like so much is happening when really it's just a simple animation technique. This may not be the flashiest anime of the season, but it definitely knows how to bring the spectacle when it counts, such as in this episode of those dramatic sequences. It'd be super easy to keep the manager as someone you just want to hate, but after hearing what Kokoro had to say about her and seeing how she kind of changed her tune, I kind of understand where she was coming from, and it's probably good you have a manager like that if you are going to be running a business and keeping your business afloat and having the best models, because you're not going to want someone who's just going to hold your hand unless you can definitely prove that a different direction is better for not only you, but even the company, because maybe she can design clothing for the company or something like that, right? She's definitely is proving herself to be more than just an antagonist in an anime series about runway modeling and fashion, but rather a character with an actual personality, which I can definitely appreciate her addition, which before I was a little against her, I'll be honest, but now I'm like, you know what, everyone, even if they have bad moments, I honestly feel like those bad moments are actually a character and realistic part to their basically arc in general, and that's a great positive in this series' favor. It's going to be damn sad to see this show go out next week, but you know what? It's memorable. It really is, It's better to go out on a high note, and what better of a high note than this runway fashion model show where one character's life is going to be changed, and the last one we're probably going to focus in on is going to be the grandson of one of the best designers in the series as far as we have been told. The fact that we had both Chiyuki, Kokoro, and Ikuto's all feel equally memorable, I'm curious if they can go 3 for 3 with this one, or if it's going to be crashing and burning, because after the credits there, it doesn't look as hopeful as maybe walking into this episode for our boys, so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But nonetheless, the fact that you can have 2 episodes feel equally memorable and that stick out as one of the best moments in the winter 2020 anime season. With the amount of great, if not exceptional anime that is airing, it's a great feeling. I mean, I hope this gets a second season for sure. I mean, I think I can probably speak for a lot of people watching. We hope it gets more. It's easy to watch a show and say, oh yeah, that was fun. If it gets more, sure, I'll watch more. But you don't necessarily crave that extra season. This one, despite it going out on probably the best way they can for its first season, I want a season 2. I really, really do. Runway modeling and fashion isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. It definitely isn't mine, but this anime has spiced it up in such a way that you don't even know what you want to call it. You want to call it a battle show, you want to call it something that's incredibly exhilarating, like your biggest and baddest fight that you're going to watch, go ahead. All I know is that this show is exciting, the characters are emotional, and it makes me care about literally every single thing, even if I have no interest in it personally. The way the characters light up or react, or the way they'll talk about it, or the side cast will gaze in on them, it makes you immediately feel and care exactly like they are. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on Smile Down the Runway down in the comment section below. Manga readers, anime originals, whatever you're feeling, do let me know. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.